Hi, it's David here from the PPC Machine. When it comes to lead generation, the majority of mortgage brokers rely on referrals or repeat business from existing clients. That's according to a survey by Mortgage Solutions. But what if you don't have many clients? If you're new to the industry or you've just gone out on your own having been employed by someone else in the past, you probably won't have much of an existing client bank to generate leads from. So in that case, lead generation companies might well be the answer. Lead generation companies exist for many different industries, but they've always been particularly popular in the mortgage industry, and most mortgage brokers are familiar with the concept of buying leads from one of these lead generation companies. So how do lead generation companies work? Well, since the use of the internet became widespread in the early 2000s, the majority of lead gen companies have used websites as their main means of generating mortgage leads. A lead generation company will typically have one or more websites, and they'll promote those via search engines using PPC like Google Ads and or SEO, and increasingly these days through social media channels as well. Any inquiries that are generated via these websites are passed on to mortgage brokers who've agreed to buy those leads. A lot of mortgage lead generators will also rely on what are called affiliates to generate some or all of their leads. These affiliates might be other lead generation companies who are passing on their spare unsold leads for resale, or they could be individuals or businesses who generate mortgage leads purely for the purpose of selling them onto larger lead generation agencies. Some lead generation companies will get leads via the phone as well. At one time, outbound cold calling was a really popular way to generate mortgage leads, but as you may know, this was banned in 2004 when the Financial Services Authority began to regulate mortgages. However, it's still possible for lead generators to publish a phone number on their websites and accept incoming calls from consumers who are looking for a mortgage or remortgage. And they can also make outbound calls to people who've explicitly requested a call via a form on the website. And once a lead generation company has a prospective client on the phone, they can either confirm their details and pass these on to the broker who's buying the lead, or they can do a live transfer, what's known as a hotkey lead, and put the person straight through to the broker's own phone. As well as selling leads and inquiries, there are some lead generation businesses that can sell mortgage brokers actual confirmed appointments with potential clients. These obviously cost more than a straightforward lead, but they do tend to have better conversion rates. The way that lead generation companies charge for their leads varies as well. The majority charge on a cost per lead or CPL basis, whereby the broker pays a fee for each lead regardless of whether or not it results in business. In some cases, these CPL leads have a fixed price, but there are also companies that use an auction model to sell each lead to the highest bidder. So you're probably wondering, should you buy mortgage leads or should you generate your own? Well, clearly mortgage lead generation companies aren't the only ones who can drive traffic to websites and generate mortgage inquiries from them. As a mortgage broker, you've got the option of using your own website or websites to generate leads instead of buying them from a third party. So what are the pros and cons of using a lead generation service rather than being self-sufficient? Well, let's look first of all at the pros, at the advantages of it. Firstly, you can start getting leads straight away without having to spend time creating your own website and landing pages and working out how to promote them. Secondly, you'll pay a fixed cost per lead, so you know what your overheads are going to be from that point of view. And thirdly, you've got the ability to specify what type of leads you want and also which postcode you want those leads to come from. So you do have quite a lot of control over the kind of leads that you're going to receive. Now on the downside though, there are a few drawbacks to buying leads. Firstly, the quality of them can be variable, especially if the lead generation company is relying on affiliates to supply some or all of its leads. And secondly, you may need to buy quite a few leads before you actually get one that converts into business, so there can be a fair bit of upfront investment required. Sometimes the leads can be hard to contact as well, especially if there's a delay in you getting them or being able to respond to them. And also it's not always easy to get a refund for any leads which turn out to be invalid. And the final point is that the cost per lead can work out to be quite high. So the alternative to buying leads is to create your own lead generation system instead. And this is actually easier than you might think. Building your own website doesn't actually need to be difficult or expensive. And if you're clever with your marketing and focus on a few specific mortgage niches, it doesn't need to cost a fortune to drive targeted traffic to your website using things like Facebook ads or Google ads. If you throw in 1 or 2 lead magnets and an email marketing system, then you may well find it's actually easier and more cost effective to generate your own mortgage leads rather than buy them in from a lead generation company. If you are going to buy leads in, there are certain questions that you should ask your potential lead supplier before you get started and hand over any cash. The most important things, I think, to ask any lead generation company that you're thinking of working with are: do they work on a cost per lead basis, or do they charge a commission on leads that convert into business? Are the leads sold at a fixed price, or do they operate an auction system? Is there any minimum order size? What's their refund policy for invalid or poor quality leads, and what counts as invalid? Are the leads delivered in real time, i.e. as soon as they're generated, or is there a delay? How are they generated? Are the leads exclusive, or will they be sold to other mortgage brokers as well as to you? How much control do you have over what type of leads you receive? And you also need to check with them that all the leads generated are generated in ways which are compliant with GDPR and with the FCA regulations. Now, you might be wondering how many lead generation companies are out there. Well, prior to the financial crash of 2008, there were quite a lot of these companies operating in the UK. They ranged from big players like PAA Leads, who closed down in 2016, through to smaller lead generation companies like the one that I owned myself at one time. Today, however, there are far fewer mortgage lead generators out there, and this reduction in numbers is likely to have been caused by various factors, such as the fact mortgage brokers now find it easier to generate leads via their own websites. The introduction of GDPR has made it harder for some of the less scrupulous lead generation companies to operate. And of course, the contraction of the mortgage market following the 2008 financial crisis had a big effect. I've pulled together a list of all the specialist mortgage broker lead generation companies that appear to be operating at the moment. And so what I'd like to do now is give you a quick run through of that list and show you what they offer and give you a quick tour around some of their websites as well.
Okay, so here is my list of mortgage lead generation companies in the UK, and I'll put a link in the description through to this blog article so you can refer back to the list in text form if you want. So let's go through these one at a time and see what they look like. So starting with the first one, which is advisorleads.co.uk. And this one's quite different from all the rest. Advisor Leads uses quite a different fee model. So rather than just charging you for the leads, what they do is they drive traffic to their own websites using Google Ads. But what's different with them is you actually, as the broker, pay the costs of running the Google Ads campaigns that generate your particular leads. And then in addition to having funded the advertising, you also pay Advisor Leads a fee per lead that you receive as well. So basically you're funding the advertising, and then whereas if you went to a normal digital marketing agency, you'd also pay a management fee per typically a monthly retainer for them to run the campaigns for you. With Advisor Leads, that's replaced by you paying an amount per lead as well. Next one on the list is this one here, First Marketing Agency. Their website, the information on it appears to be fairly up to date. It says that they use social media platforms to generate their leads. It also says that all the leads are produced on a cost per lead basis, and they're exclusive, but it doesn't actually, as far as I can see, quote any prices on the website. Now, this next site is, as you can see, the Guild of Independent Mortgage Advisors. This website, it looks very old-fashioned, and it reminds me quite a bit of another website that belonged to a company that isn't around anymore, but that company was called the Guild of Professional Mortgage Advisors. So I do wonder if the Guild of Professional Mortgage Advisors morphed into the Guild of Independent Mortgage Advisors at some point. But I'm pretty certain that they're not actually trading anymore, simply because of how massively old-fashioned the site looks design-wise. And also, if you go down to the bottom and check the small print, which is often a good way to see how up-to-date a site is, you can see down here it says they're authorised by the Financial Services Authority, and obviously it's several years now since the Financial Services Authority turned into the Financial Conduct Authority. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they'd actually ceased trading. Next on the list is this one here, Lead Co-op. Now, Lead Co-op, they've been around for quite a while. to all intents and purposes, it looks like they are still up and running and operating as a business. But it does look like their website hasn't been updated for quite a while. It says copyright 2011 down here, which doesn't necessarily mean that they haven't updated the site, but yeah, it looks a bit out of date to me. Lead Co-op actually was founded by the same person who founded Leadbay, which is a lead generation company that used to exist in 2000s. Like Leadbay did, Lead Co-op uses an auction system to sell the leads. So there's no fixed price. They just brokers bid on different types of leads, and whoever bids the highest price for a particular type of lead, like for example, remortgage leads in London SW3, you'd bid for those, and then the highest bidder would be the one who got those leads when they came through. Here's the next one, is Leadfair. Yeah, quite not the most attractive looking site, although quite busy. And yeah, but although it looks quite out of date, I did notice actually that down at the bottom, down here, there's a reference to GDPR. So given that GDPR, the new data protection regulations, that only came into effect in 2018, so they've obviously updated it, at least since then. The other thing I noticed, well, when I last looked at this site a few months ago, they were advertising mortgage leads for £45 each and remortgage leads for £70 each. That's, according to what's down the site here, that's now changed, and both mortgage and remortgage leads are now £60 each. So they're clearly still up and running, and if they're adjusting their prices according to presumably supply and demand and whatever, it's just the site looks a bit dated. This one is LeadStream, as you can see, and this lists all the different types of leads that they generate. They seem to be mostly involved in life insurance leads. It does mention mortgage leads down here, but there's not really any information, because if you click find out more, you just get to fill in the form. On their home page, it says somewhere down here that all their leads are generated by their own website called quotesearch.com. Now the thing is, if you have a look at quote search, as far as I can see, the only thing that quote search is generating is life insurance leads, equity release and funeral plans. So if they are actually still doing mortgage leads, they're obviously generating them from somewhere else. Next up is local advisors. So this is the consumer-facing part of their site. So you can see they offer to get people matched up with a mortgage advisor based on postcode. Not really much information here as to what it is they're offering or they're charging with brokers. Unless we go through to their advisor registration page, you can see here, this is where you can sign up. Now there's no obvious indication of prices on here. However, if you go into to view their T's and C's, then in here it lists the price. So they're currently selling mortgage inquiries at £40 each. Again, this is another one that's changed their pricing, because when I looked at this 3 or 4 months ago, at that point they were charging slightly more, than charging £45 per lead. So they're another one that's tweaked their pricing, but obviously at least that is an indication that they are actually up and running. And as well, if you look down here, it actually says that pricing was changed on the 3rd of Feb, so that is pretty recent, because I'm recording this video in March 2020. Next one on the list is this one, Mortgage Angels. This website looks very dated, in terms of design. You can see it was clearly designed at a time when computer screens were not nearly as wide as they are now, so it's just stuck in the middle of the screen there with huge amounts of white space either side. So yeah, I don't know if they're still actually up and running or not, but if they are, they're not keeping their site very up to date. Couldn't find any information in there about how they charge for their leads or what the fees are or anything like that. This one, next on the list, is Mortgage Magpie. No information available here. This is the only page of information for brokers, and it just says to get in touch if you want any information. So not much more I can tell you about that one. This next one is one I know is definitely active at the moment. So I was talking to a mortgage broker about them only a few days ago. They're called Online Mortgage Advisor. So this is their, let's just show you the main site actually. So if we click here, this is the consumer facing side of their site. Nice looking site. They find you a mortgage broker, usual kind of stuff. So you would click match with a broker and then go through the usual kind of inquiry form. So that's what the public would see. It took me quite a while actually to find their page for mortgage brokers with information about what they're offering to the brokers. It's quite well hidden. I did eventually find it. So as you can see here, the thing that makes them different from most of the other companies that we've looked at is they don't charge a fixed cost per lead. What they do is they provide you with the leads, and then they charge you a percentage of your commission and your proc fees on each lead that converts into business. So you'd pay them a percentage of any broker fees, proc fees, I think a commission on life insurance policies as well. On their website, it doesn't say what percentage they charge, but this broker I was speaking to recently, who has been getting leads from Online Mortgage Advisor, he said that he was paying them 22% on each lead that converted. Now, I don't know whether that's what they charge everybody or whether they negotiate different rates with different advisors, but either way, that gives you a ballpark as to what the cost would be. So yeah, I guess a bit of a lower risk option if you if you're getting into buying leads for the first time. You might want to try this, because at least you're not having to pay out any money up front, and you're only paying if something actually turns into business for you. The next one here is Pro Connect Marketing. And one of the things that makes them different is, although they do talk about lead generation, as you can see there, they don't appear to do straightforward lead generation for mortgages. They do things like pensions and life insurance, but doesn't mention mortgages anywhere in that. But their thing that's quite interesting, they do appointment setting. So they'll actually sell you an actual confirmed appointment with a potential mortgage client. Now, although it again doesn't mention mortgages in there, if you click into the IFA appointments section, then in the list here of things that they do for IFAs, it does say they do mortgage advice. So I would assume you don't have to actually be an IFA. You could be a mortgage broker and say that you just want appointments from people looking for mortgage advice. But again, obviously, you'd have to get in touch with them to find out that. Couldn't see any information on there about how they charge or what the prices are, whether there's any minimum order quantity. So again, that's something you'd have to get in touch with them to ask for details. This next one here is one of the larger lead generation companies, as far as I can tell. They're called So Leads, or simply Online Leads, and they were actually born out of the ashes of a previous lead generation company called Leadway, I've mentioned before in this video. And although it doesn't say so on their website, I know from personal experience that, because I've supplied them myself, that one of the places that So Leads get their leads from is from affiliates. The remainder of their leads are generated via their own consumer-facing site, which is called So Smart Money. Let me show you what that looks like here. So Smart Money. So this is what consumers would end up on, and then as they start the quote process, it will go through the usual kind of questions, and at the end of that, it will assign the lead to a particular broker. So Leads sells its leads via an auction system. So the price will vary depending on demand and whereabouts in the country you want the leads and everything. I mean, what this So Smart Money site illustrates is one of the other issues with buying leads from lead generation companies, is that the potential client hasn't been exposed to your company name or your brand prior to when you call them up. So it is the brand they're familiar with as they've done their inquiry is So Smart Money, rather than the brand of your particular individual mortgage brokerage. So that does present as a slight extra hurdle, that when you call them up, they don't necessarily know who who the hell you are, which of course if you generated a lead via your own website, then there'd already be some familiarity with you and your brand before you spoke to them. And obviously, that's not just an issue with So Smart Money, that would apply to all of the lead gen companies we've looked at here. Next up is Unbiased. Now, Unbiased has been around for a long while, and its website actually started life as not much more than an online directory of independent financial advisors. Today, they run a consumer-facing website, which let's just show you the consumer-facing part. Unbiased.co.uk. So their consumer-facing site is all about helping people find either a financial advisor or mortgage broker, also accountants and bookkeepers. So they've expanded from their original remit. But as a mortgage broker, you can sign up to buy any inquiries that are generated via that consumer site. They've got a few different plans, but the main one that they say is the most popular is this one here, where you pay £59 a month, and then that's as like a kind of retainer to belong to the scheme, and then you pay £45 for each inquiry that you actually get come through. And now here's the final one that's on our list. This is vouched for. So vouched for isn't primarily a lead generation service, but I decided I should include them because I know that a lot of brokers do get leads from vouched for. What vouched for actually is a review website, so along the same lines as things like Trustpilot or TripAdvisor or whatever. And it's a site where people can leave reviews for mortgage brokers, IFAs, solicitors and accountants that they've dealt with. So once you've set up a profile on vouched for, that allows people to leave reviews for you, but it also gives you the potential to receive mortgage inquiries via the site from members of the public. Vouched for, as far as I can see, they don't charge a fee per lead, but what they do have, it's detailed down here somewhere. Yeah, what they do have is a £45 plus VAT membership fee, basically, for per month for being on the site. So as you can see, there's quite a range of different lead generation companies out there in terms of both sort of what they offer to you as the broker and how they present themselves to the public as well. So these were all the ones that I could find. If you know of an active mortgage lead generation company that I haven't got included in the list, then do leave a comment down below and let me know, and I'll check them out and then do my best to include them in any future updates to this video.
Now, for completeness, there are also some mortgage lead generation companies I want to mention which you may have heard of, but which are actually no longer in business. They include Advice Online, eFinity Leads, the Guild of Professional Mortgage Advisors, they were a victim of the 2008 financial crash, and LeadBay, which gave rise to Simply Online Leads that we saw just now. Also Lead Magpie, LeadPoint UK, and PAA Leads, which was the lead selling arm of Money Supermarket. So should you use a mortgage lead company or should you try and be self-sufficient? Well, as you can see, if you do want to buy mortgage leads these days, your options are fairly limited. I could only find 14 companies that claim to specialise in generating leads for mortgage advisors, and as we saw just now, several of those looked like they might not actually be trading anymore. Over the past 15 years, I've seen several lead gen companies shut their doors or go bust, often leaving mortgage brokers severely out of pocket. If you come to rely on a particular lead generator and they go out of business, you've not only got the potential to lose any money that you've paid them up front, but you also risk your supply of new clients drying up. And that's why I recommend that even if you do decide to make some use of lead generation companies, you should still make sure that you've got a reliable lead generation system of your own in place as well. That way you'll potentially have lower costs and higher quality inquiries, and crucially you'll be less vulnerable in the event that a major lead supplier closes down. If you check the description, you'll see I've included a link to a free guide which you can download, which will tell you how to go about generating mortgage leads yourself using your own website. I hope you found this video useful, and the list of mortgage lead generation companies is helpful. If you know of any companies which didn't make it onto my list because I didn't come across them, then do leave a comment below and let me know, and I'll do my best to include them in any future updates to this video. Don't forget to please click the like button if you've enjoyed this video, and also click the subscribe button and hit the notification icon so that you get notified whenever new videos are released. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.